Hi guys, my name is Christine and I'm a dating, relationship and personal development coach, and today I'm talking about do as little as possible when dating women. So before we get into the video, I want to apologize for my voice. I've been quite ill over pretty much all of October. I was unwell, I was sick for like a whole month. The only thing that's kind of good about that is that I that's usually the only time of the year I get sick, so I can handle being ill for a month if the other 11 months of the year I'm fine. So it's not too bad because I know I'm going to be fine for the rest of the year after this. I think it's just because in the UK there's just so little sunlight at this time of year, and as a mum, I'm out in the garden, I'm out taking my kid out for a walk, all the time in the summer. So we was out pretty much loads in the summer. So I had a lot of time in the sunlight, and now I'm just sort of spending half of my time indoors because it gets so dark so quickly now. And there's just half the day you're just in darkness. So, when you're inside, bugs just sort of fester around a lot. But anyway, point being, I really apologize if I sound weird. It's because I've been ill. And it's one of those bugs that just really one of those colds that just really affects your throat. Anyway, so the video that I'm going to get into today and the topic that we're going to be talking about is why it's a good idea to do as little as possible when you're dating women. Now, when I say do little as possible, I don't mean do nothing. Okay, but when you're in those first initial stages of dating a woman, the only effort that you should be putting in is the effort to ask her out on a date. Okay, that's it. Okay. The only other bit of effort you might have to put into is, coming up with a place to meet her, like a good restaurant or a good place to hang out, and just sort of coming up with the plans. That's another thing that you should do, because that shows leadership, and women are really attracted to that. If you can ask her out and, she says, yeah, I'm free on this day, I'm free on that day, you're like, great, and you put in the leadership to say, how about we meet here at this time, then women will really, really like that and appreciate that. So because she's not the one that's having to come up with the plans. You've already you've handled that already, and you've told her what you want to do with her. And that's really cool. And a lot of women really like that leadership. They like that initiative. So that's really cool. But that's about it, I mean, obviously, when you're on the date too, the only other thing that you should be focusing on really is just having a good time, which is what you should be doing anyway. Just having a blast, getting her to laugh, getting her to giggle, having a great time. But that's it, that's all you should be focusing on, asking her out and having a great date. You shouldn't be too focused on, I need to message her, I need to keep on talking to her, because one of the things that will put a woman off you, especially if she's already sort of like on the fence as to whether or not she likes you. If you're in her DMs all the time and you're chit-chatting with her all the time, what will happen is when you meet out on the date, you're going to have nothing to talk about. And I found this with like friends, because we're chatting all the time on like WhatsApp or whatever, or on Facebook Messenger, and I'm chatting to my friends and we're talking about our days all the time. And then when we hang out, we've got nothing to say because we said everything over message. And I'm like, oh man, I should take the advice that I give guys when they're dating, and also apply it to my friends too, so we've got something to talk about when we hang out, because that's what can happen. Things can get very boring very quickly, and if you're already talking about each other's days, like throughout the days leading up to the date, you go out and hang out on the date, you've got nothing to talk about because you talked about it all over Messenger. So you want to save some things, okay, which is why I think it's just a good idea to just use your phone, as Corey Wayne teaches, to just like arrange meetups rather than chit-chatting and getting to know each other. So that's what I mean by doing as little as possible. You don't have to be in her DMs all the time. You don't have to be thinking about clever lines or clever ways to keep her interested. Just ask her out on a date and just then keep the texting then to a minimum. And then when you're on the date, just have a great time. Just have fun. Just try and get her to giggle, get her to laugh, have a great time. And that's what I mean by doing as little as possible. But what's really cool about this is that it lets you know which women are interested in you and which women are not interested in you. Because if you do as little as possible, then the women that don't like you will just sort of fizzle out and you won't hear from them as much. It may even be that because they have such a low interest, you may ask them out on a date, and let's say it's been a few days and they don't show up to the date because you didn't keep the thing going by like messaging, okay? And that shows that she's got low interest. So it's actually, it may seem like, oh no, I just got stilted, she just completely forgot about me. It may feel like a really bad thing if you show up to a date and a woman doesn't turn up, but actually in reality it's a good thing, because it shows you that she wasn't that into you, okay? And because you took that step back to see how she would respond to, you know, a few days of, you know, just arranging the date and then not speaking in between the date, you get to see exactly how that woman feels about you. And if she does like you, then she will show up. Or what you'll find as well is that if she's really, really into you and really wants to see you, she will become concerned that she hasn't heard from you in a few days. And let's say the day before the date or the morning of the date, she'll message you to say, are we still on for tonight, or are we still on for tomorrow? And that shows that she's got a high interest and her anticipation's been building, and she just can't wait anymore. She just has to find out whether or not it's still happening, whether it's still going ahead. Whereas women that don't like you will either just forget that you've made plans with them, and because she's really not that into you and she's too busy being into some other guy. But it's great because it just lets you know exactly where you stand, okay? And that's what you want to know, because you don't want to project how you're feeling, because sometimes this can happen too, you know? You really like a woman and you feel like, oh, you know, I've got to stay in her DMs, so you do, because, you know, you're trying to keep the thing alive. And you don't even realize you're talking to a woman that's not really that into you, because, you know, you haven't given her the space to come to you, to chase you, because that's what that does. You know, if you give her the space by not talking to her as much, by doing as little as possible, the women that don't like you as much as the women that do like you, you know, the whole thing will just sort of like just eventually just fizzle out, and it just won't happen, right? Things won't keep on going ahead. But because you're into her and you're talking to her all the time, it's hard to notice that. It's hard to notice whether or not she's putting in the effort or not, because you're the one that's always messaging first, always doing all the effort and stuff like that. So if you take a step back, then you get to see which women are really into you, because a woman that's really, really into you, she'll reach out. She'll even initiate the conversation sometimes, because she's that into you, okay? Women that are not that into you won't do that kind of thing. You'll just never hear from them. Or they'll only reach out if they want something, because obviously there are women as well that like attention, okay? And basically if a woman just likes your attention but doesn't like you, she'll want to keep you in her orbit. So she may say some confusing things like, I like you, but, you know, I'm just busy with work right now. I'm just busy with this right now. But, you know, I still really like you, you know, stuff like that. But you're not meeting up. You're not hanging out. You're not sleeping together. Nothing romantic is actually physically happening. It's all over this, like, messenger. Okay, and sometimes she disappears. You don't hear from her in a long time. And then she reappears again because she likes to have you in her orbit. She likes to keep you as backup in case things go wrong with the current guy. Right? With the guy that she actually prefers. Because that's what's going on there. You know, she's got, if let's say she does like you a little bit. Let's say she does have some feelings for you a little bit. Right? But she prefers another guy. She'll keep you like on the sidelines until it doesn't work out. In case it doesn't work out with the guy that she really, really does like. Okay? And then maybe she'll entertain seeing you and hanging out with you. But you don't want to be anyone's second option. So it's best to, this is why it's a good idea to do this and to do as little as possible, because then you'll find out which women are putting you as a priority and which women are not. So do as little as possible when dating. You know, just focus on the only thing that you should be doing is arranging dates, and then when you're on that date, to just be having a great time. That's it. So thank you so much for watching. If you'd like to get in touch with me personally and you'd like coaching with me, then please go to www.christineloveridge.com, and I shall talk to you again very soon. Goodbye.